Glad we had a good hunt this morning. That's the most important thing. You know, this is the star of the show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching and listening. We're excited about today's show. We are outside. It's spring. It's turkey season. And if you haven't seen it yet, there's a turkey on the table. We just got off a great hunt, and we have Mr. Matt Dale with us today. He's going to relive that hunt for you. We're going to talk about it. Mr. Don King is helping me co-host, as well as Mr. Mike Parsley is with us today. We're on his farm, and he took us out, and we got a bird.
Worked out, didn't it?
We're excited. So, Matt, if you don't know Matt Dale, he's a YouTube celebrity. He's out there showing people how to turkey hunt. So, we're happy to have him on the farm, and it's going to be a fun day. Thanks for everybody for being here.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to be here. Glad we had a good hunt this morning. That's the most important thing. You know, this is the star of the show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's been a couple of day hunt, and it started off slow. Well, actually, it started off quick. We jumped a bird first thing yesterday morning, but it wasn't in the right spot. That wasn't where we expected them to be, and so anyway, yesterday was a little slower, but today was just right. So we'll get into all that and talk about this bird. So first of all, Matt, tell us about yourself. Tell us about who you are, where you came from, and how Dale Outdoors kind of got started, and then we'll jump into this.
It got started as a fluke. I don't even know how it got started, to be honest. I think it was just luck. Of course, I'm from Virginia originally. I'm a Virginia native, born and raised in Virginia, and always hunted, me and my dad. My dad was an old-time turkey hunter. Still is. He's 81 and still turkey hunts. And still climbs trees and puts stands in. He's 81.
Awesome.
So, it's just been part of my life, just hunting, fishing. That's all I ever knew was hunting, fishing, church, because I'm a minister. I've been preaching for 26 years, pastored a couple churches and evangelized. But then it just kind of, I guess that Dale Outdoor things got started when a few years ago I just stuck a camera up and just started talking about turkey hunting. and I was just basically I wasn't even trying to do nothing. Mostly I was just doing stuff just to learn to edit and using junk to edit, because I didn't want to edit my good stuff we was doing in church. So I was just going out and talking. It was turkey season. I just stuck a camera up, started talking about turkey hunting, and just talking. I thought, well, what am I going to talk about, And so I didn't really know how to film hunt, so I thought, well, I'll just talk about turkey hunting. And actually, I posted like 4 or 5 videos a year during turkey season. That's about it. Now, I still bring my brother-in-law for this. So probably about 4 or 5 years later, he asked me, he's like, hey, you still do the hunting thing? And I'm like, no. I said, I took a couple of years kind of off, just like, not really. He said, you've got over 100,000 hits on some of these videos. And I said, what? And I didn't know nothing. I'm computer stupid, so I didn't know nothing about, you get paid for this. So he's like, you really need to, you got a good camera presence and all that. He's like, you really need to learn, do this and do it right. So I had a couple of guys I knew in the hunting industry, and they just looked at some of my stuff and said, man, you need to try it. So that's pretty much how it started, and it's grown. I mean, I think when I first started doing it right, I should say do it right, it was only about 3 years ago. I only had like maybe just a handful of subscribers, and I think we're pushing up to that 25,000 mark just this quick in 3 years. So it's really, I don't do nothing but just, I'm an educator. I'm not the best self-filmer of the world. Probably this turkey hunt's the best thing I've ever shot because I've got somebody who knows what they're doing. But you talk about me going out and turkey hunting, I got a camera, but it's like if I'm by myself, I'm pretty much just shoving the camera down. If it gets it, fine. If it don't. Right. And if it don't, I'm just pretty much, but my thing is I want to teach people how to turkey hunt, because the one thing that I've always said, you watching me shoot this ain't going to teach you nothing.
Yeah.
It's entertaining. It's fun, but it ain't going to teach you nothing. But if I can educate people with a 10, 15-minute video, and every year, in fact, on my phone right now, I could probably pull up messages I've gotten the last week of, hey, man, you helped me kill my first bird.
Oh.
Man, you've killed my, I've hunted for, in fact, I got one yesterday. I read to the boys here. I said, Just, hunted first time this year. Didn't know what I was doing. Watched your videos. Went out and killed a bird.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So it's education, and I think that's my lane. A lot of these guys have got producers, and they know how to do it, and not knocking them. They can film these things great. I can't, but I stay in my lane, and I'm an educator.
Yeah.
And it works.
Well, I know Mike introduced me to you. Last year he put me on your channel, and he said, I've been watching these things, and Matt knows what he's doing, and he said, we need to get him to Tennessee and show Tennesseans how to do this, and it was great. I'm glad we connected with you.
Didn't have to twist his arm too hard.
I don't think
what
so.
I
Didn't
heard.
have to twist me.
Well, and that's the point here in Tennessee, and that's why you're here. It's not to tape, getting a bird. It was great.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest deal about getting you here, and we've set upon a course here in Tennessee to teach people how to hunt, fish, shoot, do everything outdoors that we can possibly do, and getting you here to show people how to do this is why you're here. And I do want to thank you for coming down and teaching people, because when people see this video,
they're
we've
gonna
got
learn
the
a lot.
whole thing.
Yeah.
They're going to learn a lot. I was
It's
watching
learning.
some clips in there, and it was like, wow, there's so much good before we killed the bird. Because I actually pretty much told what this bird was doing when we was 800 yards from him.
He told us like what he's going to be. He said he's going back and forth in the strut zone, and we'll get into that, tell people what that's about. But he told us exactly. Right on it.
It don't work all the time, but after you've hunted them 30 years, you kind of know them,
Yeah.
But the way this turkey was acting, this particular hunt, it was just one of them classic hunts, but someone that didn't know what they were doing would have bloated. It would have exploded, because I think even Mike said, I would have just went right on.
Mike and I would still be sitting on that ridge calling, saying, come here, bird.
No, but it's true. A turkey, especially like this, and you're going to find this a lot in the spring. This turkey, when we struck him, we actually heard him this morning, right after daylight.
Yep.
But he was
early
across the valley, and we thought, well, he may come up this valley. You never know. But we got up where we was at yesterday. But I know the way he was acting, because when he hit the ground, he didn't gobble for probably 35, 40 minutes. And then he gobbled one time. And then, I was mouth calling to him, box call. He wouldn't pay no attention to me, and I hit that. So I picked this slate call up. Thought, well, let's try that, and boy, he just hammered. Oh, he liked that. Okay, because I've said turkey hunts like fishing. That's why you got all these calls.
Yeah.
Because they all do something different, and they all got a different sound. And sometimes a gobbler, it's just like fishing. You just keep throwing till you find what they want. And if you go out there with just one or two calls, you might be crippling yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think what it is, and I don't know, I'm not a turkey specialist as far as because I don't think nobody is getting a brain, but it's like, I think that particular sound is either a hen that he's been with and he wants to get back with, where another call might not sound like that, or it's a new hen he don't recognize. Probably it's more of that, but it's like, oh, who's the new girl in town, right? Because they know, even though we with a human ear think they all sound alike, and they kind of do, to a turkey, it's different.
Yeah.
So I hit him with that, and when he gobbled, I was like, man, okay. But then he went down here, and he gobbled off the point. And then he was back up here gobbling. Then he went back down there, and he's just walking this long point. And I'm sitting there, because they're behind me like 15, 20 yards, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, all right, I think I know what this turkey's doing. And sure enough, and so I got up, and I said, okay, here's what's happening, didn't I? I said,
let's skirt across through here on this side of this ridge.
Yep.
It's tough.
It's like 800 yards. I said,
I'm a big dude.
I said, if we can get over to that ridge, and Mike said, "Man, that's a long way." I'm like, "Well, we're gonna do something."
It's a long way. It's only 1,100 feet up.
Yeah, because he was like this, and I'm like, "Well, we need to get over on that ridge." But here's the thing that a lot of people make a mistake when they go to that turkey, when they're going to him, and they want to keep him gobbling, and they're turkey calling to him. I've seen that so many times. People they get 40, 50 yards, call, he gobbles, because he'll gobble, because he wants that. Hey, there's a new girl in town. You go 40, 50 yards more, they'll gobble, because they want to keep where he's at. What do you think? But see, in nature, this is what makes turkey hunting such a challenge in the spring. In nature, the hen goes to the gobbler. But people, and I think a lot of it, not knocking TV shows because I know we're on one, but I think a lot of shows, what you see hunting, you see on the Outdoor Channel and all this, not knocking them, just saying. You see these guys calling, going to turkeys, but a lot of that's reenactment, of course. But they go calling and they gobbler's here. Okay, they go and they go. Man, you're messing yourself up because what's he think? That hen is coming to him.
Just like nature's supposed to do.
And what he's going to do, he's going to hang up on you. He's just going to stop. And, she just keeps coming. So I tried to either cold call to him, and he didn't answer to that. And so I just tried to get as close as I knew he was. And we sat there on the side of that ridge for how long? We just stood there. And I was like, I ain't moving until he gobbles. Yeah. And finally he gobbled one time where I think it was a truck, wasn't it? Big loud truck went by.
A tractor trailer went by.
Thank you, Mr. Truck. But he gobbled, and he was way over in the holler. I was like, okay. And, man, we shot up there. And once we got on top, we sat down, and honestly, all I did with this call right here, this is all I did. We got set up, and I told him that, and I said, if he comes, he going to come quick.
He came quick.
And so I just sat and, that's it, right there. Now, boy, any idiot can do that. And I mean, just within 3 minutes, he was gobbled right on top of us. I mean, he came right back because that hen, what it is, you got in his bubble, and he walks back and forth like that. Well, that hen, he thinks, that hen got in my zone, my bedroom. And that's how you. But a lot of guys, like you said, would have walked right up there, called loud, blowed him out of there, seen him. It's just I've called it the ultimate chess game. He moves, you move. He moves, you move. And I think you mentioned what you learned out of this was patience.
Patience. Mm-hmm. Sitting on the side of that hill and waiting on him to tell us where he was.
Yep.
We didn't. I would have called to him and I'd have blown him out, like you were saying.
Yep.
I mean, you creeped up that hill.
I crawled.
You belly crawled up that hill because, I mean, he hadn't talked to us in a while.
No.
We've been standing there 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he crawled up that hill, and when he got to the top, he didn't see the bird, so he's like, come on, We got up there. You called, boom. So he's like, get on that tree. You get on that tree. Mike, you stay back there. And he don't move. So,
well, actually, I hate that we didn't get the impact on camera, but you couldn't. He gobbled, and he was 25 yards.
As soon as you saw him, you said, there he is. And I looked,
and he's got the camera.
A little bit.
He's got
the camera's on him.
Yeah, so, but it worked out. Mm-hmm. But, when they're that close, I mean, that turkey got up there quick. And that's usually how it happens. But I've killed so many like that over the years in something my dad taught me years ago, and so there's a strategy to turkey hunting. There's a lot of luck involved, but there's a lot of strategy to it.
It makes all that hill climbing worth it. All that climbing.
Well, now it does. Yesterday, I had my tail dragging, I think.
Oh, man. That was fun, though. It was fun.
You talked about strategy.
Yeah.
You told us exactly what was going on. We were, for everybody out there, what we have here is just a bunch of ridges.
Yeah.
1,100-foot ridges, and we were on one 1,100-foot ridge, and that bird was on a complete opposite ridge. Yeah. Separated by a ravine, right? So we were on the first ridge, and you called exactly what that bird was doing. Explain what was going on.
Well, when the bird gobbled up here, he's still 800 yards from us because he's across the ravine. When he gobbles up here and kind of in front of us, and then the next time he gobbles down here, and he's down on the point, and then he gobbles back up here a few minutes later, and then but I think I said something. I think we got it on cameras when I told you. I said, and this before we killed the turkey. I turned around. And I said, "See, what I like about this turkey is he's gobbling by himself. If he was just waiting for me to call and then answer, that would be pretty much telling me he's not really interested. He's interested. They're always interested, but he's like, you're going to have to come to me. We did go to the turkey, but in other words, I'm not moving. You're going to come to me. I'm not interested. But when they gobble by themselves looking for you, see, they've heard you over here. And when he just keeps gobbling looking for you, he's wanting that hen to answer him. So when he does that, I'm just like, oh, okay. He's wanting to, and I told you, I said, I think he wants to play. And you just kind of learn how to read turkeys. And of course, experience and hunting them 30 years, I'm not the greatest at it, but you learn a lot.
Yeah.
Just like with deer hunting or fishing or anything. Mm-hmm. But I think and you know, sometimes you're going to say, "Oh, I know what that turkey's doing." And he'll do something totally different, and you'll feel like wrapping a gun around the tree. But most of the time, that's what I've tried to teach people on my YouTube channel: is you got to learn to read a turkey's gobble. If he's gobbling, it's just like, you know, you're out there and you're calling to him. You know, you're out there and he gobbles. You're like, "Oh, okay, great." You know, he's just gonna come in here like they do on TV and kill him. But if he's not gobbling looking for you, he's probably not really interested. Mm-hmm. And you can do that all day. And it's either a shot gobble or they're just saying, "Hey, I'm over here, you come to me." But when they get to where they're gobbling, looking for you, then you're kind of reading them like, "Oh, okay, well, he wants to." He's looking for you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the biggest things people overlook, and I try to teach people this, is I want to get in this turkey's head. I believe you can actually get into their head where they just drive them nuts. And what I try to do is I let them gobble 3 or 4 times before I ever say a word to them. And then when I call to him, you know, he'll gobble. But I won't call right back to him. I'll let him gobble 3 or 4 more times before I'll call it. So in other words, see, when you first started, you made him gobble. Now he's gobbling and you're answering him.
Playing hard to get.
Right. Where first you called, he answered. You reverse it, let him call, and you answer him. And I think that really drives them crazy sometimes. It's just them little things like that. And this turkey ran to us. Mm-hmm. I mean, he ran to us. It don't always work, but I like it when it does.
Yeah, it worked out.
Well, let's jump into these calls. You brought a few with you, and we want to talk about different types of calls and techniques with them and that kind of thing. Just what's your go-to call? What do you like the best?
Well, my go-to call, of course, I'm a big box call person. This is my call from Spring Fever call that's, you know, kind of something that I came up with. And it's got more of a higher pitch. I like this call because I like a box call. When people ask me, because I get questions, "Hey, I don't have a lot of money to spend, and I'm a new turkey hunter." Uh-huh. I go into Bass Pro and I'm lost because there's just all these calls. You know, mouth calls, all these calls. I don't know which one to get.
Yeah.
Simplest call in the world. One piece, you know, easy to use.
Can't lose a striker.
No, can't lose a striker. Whereas if you got one of these, and these work too, and I'm glad I had this today because that's the only thing I answered to. But, you know, if you lose this, you're out of business. So if you just got one go-to call, a box call, because you can do anything on a box call. Just get a good box call. You can yelp. You can cluck. You know, just cluck. All you do is just hitting it. Anybody can do that. You know, that's one of the most overlooked calls right there. That's it. You know, it's like, oh, well, anybody can do that. You know, you can cut with it. That's an excited hen. So I love a good box call. But, you know, of course, I think if you're going to really become a good turkey hunter, you got to learn mouth call because it frees your hands up. You know, so I'm basically on a mouth call most of the day.
That's what froze that bird today.
Yeah.
Couple clucks.
Yeah, that's it. Because I had to get his head up to shoot him because he was in strut. And so basically, a mouth call does take some getting used to because, you know, it feels weird in your mouth. A lot of people it's all about air pressure. But a good mouth call, of course, there's some that's easier to use than others. This is a ghost cut, this particular one. So a ghost cut's a good cut. Double reed is a good for beginner. You know, there's no cuts in the top tape because the top reed's where you get your rasp. So a double cut, or a double reed, and a ghost cut, good for beginners. And, you know, you're still just basically, you can do a lot of crazy stuff with a mouth call, you know, that we won't get into right now because it's, you know, you'd be like, oh, that's way too much information. But if you're just talking about going out and killing a turkey, you can go take a box call, do a couple clucks, some yelps, you kill a turkey. Just sound real. I've always said if you just sound 50% real, you kill a turkey, you know. Now, you don't want to get out there and, you know, if you get out there and don't sound real, you know, he'll probably say, well, what in the world's that? You know? But if you can, you know, kill turkey.
Yeah.
So,
and while you got that box call in your hand, talk about that rasp you talked about earlier. You have that finish.
Yeah. A lot of calls, like most, and I think this is the biggest thing. You have two type of box calls. You've got a box call with a handle and one without. Mine has a handle. Most good box calls really do have a handle.
And that's on the bottom for
that's
those
on the bottom, right
not
here.
being able to see
right,
it.
because there's your paddle, and this is your base, but you have a
Paddle on
handle.
top, yeah.
Some calls don't. Now, the reason I like a handle on my calls is because I'm not putting any pressure on this call at all. I promise you, I'm not putting any pressure on this call at all. But I want you to listen to the difference. If you just hold this call in your fingers just like this, it sounds all right. Yep, you got a turkey gobble with that. Mm-hmm. But now listen to the difference when you take your pressure off of that. Hear the difference?
Sounds richer, a little deeper.
It sounds a lot more. It gets out there more.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's got to do with the wood too. I know probably it's got a lot. That has got a lot to do with the material. But I promise you can take the best wood box call, and you can put your hand on it like that. You're not going to get that. You're just not going to get that little bitty note in the back. And most hens have that note in the back. Man, when I hunt public land, I can tell a box caller from a mile away, because I guarantee you, if you hunt public land, just what you're going to hear. I've heard that so much. And it'll get turkeys to gobble. He'll shot gobble at or whatever, but it don't have that that note. But to get a good box call, you got to have. You hear that?
Yeah.
And a lot of that's got to do with tuning you tune it by your screw. Because I got a video on that on YouTube. You can go over and look at it.
Go check it out. Hey, tell them where your YouTube channel is.
Go Dale Outdoors, DALE, like Dale Earnhardt. Dale Outdoors on YouTube. So you can pull it up but a good box call, like I said, you don't have to spend a lot of money for a good box call. Just get you something that sounds pretty good. That's kind of a more deeper sound. But what I like is a high frequency. On any call. I'd rather have because that's what you're getting out there with. And when you're like last year, I had a gobbler in Virginia, 30-mile-an-hour winds. Oh man, I was about ready to go home. It was just so bad. It was terrible weather. But I just got on top of that hill and I cranked this thing, man. I was cranking it, and he gobbled way out there. But he wasn't that far. But in the wind, you think they're
right. Yeah, it makes a big difference.
And no question, if I wouldn't have had that call, what it called him in, because it was just enough for him to pierce through that wind to kill him. And I shot him in 30-mile-an-hour winds. It was like a tornado on top of that hill. I was just like, but a good box call is hard to beat. If you and I've told people, because I have people say, "Oh, I don't like a box call. It's too scratchy." It's scratchy up close because we're close to it.
You hear,
But I promise you take a good box caller, or even a decent box caller, go up top that hill. From here, 80, 100 yards where a turkey's going to be, and then you take a guy with a mouth call, that box call is going to sound phenomenal. It's going to sound more real.
Let's go over some of the basic calls that you can show people on each of these how to do that will get them out there and get them close to success.
Well, this call here is a good old slate call. Now, you've got different, and when we say slate, if you don't know what we're talking about, this is just a slate. It's like old chalkboard kind of slate that you use in school. And so it's a piece of slate, but they got different, you got glass, you got ceramic, you got copper, you got a lot of different materials. But the slate is the easiest of all. It's just the easiest to use. And I still like it. Man, I still think a slate call sounds great, and that's why I still carry one.
That turkey did this morning.
That turkey, he liked it. No, I don't think he likes it now, but he liked it then. But it's just your striker right here. You're going to hold it kind of to an angle like this. You're not going to hold it straight, but you're going to hold it kind of an angle. And you're basically, of course, it probably needs sanded because we've used it today. But you're just basically giving a little clucks. It's got a little thing you sand it with. I don't have it with me. But, you just sand it. Give it a little yelp. Anybody can do that. Just remember to kind of rhythm your yelp. Don't do that. You're not dragging it. You're just kind of just popping it. And practice with it.
Yeah.
That's all it takes to kill a turkey sometimes, So a slate call is really good for beginners. And like I said, a box call is just hard to be for a beginner because anybody can do it. It's all one piece. And pretty much on a box call, you're clucking. All you're doing is, I kind of have a habit of holding my thumb on the lid. because if you don't, then you're going to get it kind of loose. So I just kind of put a little pressure on, not a whole lot of pressure, but just put it on the lid, and you're just going to take your hand and pop it. That's it. You done a turkey call, and that's what hens are doing most of the time.
Yep.
That right there. That'll kill a turkey right there. That's that simple? Yes, it's that simple. Right there. If you, I mean, you could go out there tomorrow, get behind your house. If you got turkeys out there gobbling, and if he's gobbling, just go out there and if he's in the mood, he'll gobble back at you. A yelp, all you're doing, you're dragging it. You're just dragging it with a little rhythm. And the best thing to do is either listen to a real hen on a video. There's all kinds of YouTube videos of real hens, and just try to mimic what they do. They're the best teacher.
Yeah.
They're the best teacher. And you're just...
Or visit Dale Outdoors.
That's it. A yelp. Sometimes you do a short yelp. Sometimes you do a longer yelp. If it's windy like it is today, you can get louder. So you can get soft. You can do everything on a box call.
That was another thing I learned today. We were, like you said, 800 yards away from this bird this morning. He was walking up and down the ridge, and we were on that other ridge, and you were not very loud at all.
No.
It doesn't. It apparently
that carries. That thing
they
carries.
hear a lot
phenomenal.
better than I ever thought.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, and they can pinpoint you. Like he pinpointed right where we were at. I mean, they just know. It's almost like you've seen a deer when you rattle one in, because if you've ever rattled a deer in or grunted him in, he'll come almost to your base of your tree. They just know, and I don't know how they do it, but they do, and I'm glad they do. But a good slate call, a good box call, and of course your mouth call's a little bit tougher, but it's still not very hard to do.
We're running out of time.
Oh man!
Go ahead, show us real quick.
Cluck. That's pretty much it. You just practice with the mouth call, and you kill a turkey.
I think it was an awesome hunt. This has been great information. These calls,
and I think
the simplicity of it.
And I think the key is practice.
Practice.
As
Practice.
Matt was saying.
Summertime, wintertime. Get out there and practice.
Yeah.
Then springtime. Get out there in the woods and practice.
That's right. That's right.
Get out there in the woods and do it.
That's right.
Well, Matt, it's been fun. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you coming to Tennessee and doing this.
I appreciate you coming.
We're going to do another show with Matt. So come back and watch and listen to another show coming down the road, and check out the hunt. We'll have that on our social media channels and all that fun stuff. Matt will share it on his place and share it on his channels.
You come to my website, DaleOutdoors.com.
Okay.
Dale Outdoors on YouTube. Come over and subscribe and like it.
Yeah. And check out some of these calls. Spring Fever, right?
FeverCustomCalls.com. You can pick up my box call, the old sly, pick up my old sly mouth calls, and all that good stuff.
Awesome. All right. Well, this is this edition of Tennessee WildCast. Hope you come back and check us out again. Come back and hear another show and listen to another show with Matt Dale. So thank you guys for helping co-host.
You bet.
And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.